Let's talk about hardscape. We all need rocks, branches, and bark for our reptile enclosures, but apparently buying a bunch of rocks and wood online or going in stores and buying this stuff can cost you an arm and a leg. However, does this mean that collecting and building your own hardscape is worth it to try and avoid breaking the bank? In this video, I venture out into the wild, collect some wood, chop that wood up, and then assemble it all into one big climbing structure for my ball python's enclosure. Follow along with this process and stick around to the end where I evaluate the pros and cons of assembling your own hardscape and help you decide whether or not you should buy or build your hardscape. I'm Zeke and you're watching Zeke in the Wild. Let's go find some wood. So for this project, I wanted to connect a bunch of branches with screws to hopefully build some kind of structure that my snake could climb on. So for this, I traveled for many moons, searching far and wide. Actually, not really. Turns out you can take 3 steps into a forest and find some fallen branches, so basically just go outside and find a tree. With these sticks, I plan to build the most amazing branch fusion thing possible. So I packed it all up and took it back to base camp to clean and select the pieces I wanted. Note, if you clean with bleach like I did, then make sure to wash the branches off with water and let them sit for at least 24 hours. You don't want that bleach on your wood when you go to put it in the enclosure. So just make sure you clean it off properly. Once everything was clean and ready to go, I had arrived at the fun part, the construction.
Busted my knuckle. Trying to do this the first time, so gloves. Screws are in. For the first piece, I'm gonna go check where I want this this branch. The idea is kind of have it go out like this, but I think the branch may be a little bit too big, but I'm gonna go check it out real quick. So in the tank, it's gonna be basically standing up like this. So there's one long branch going across the whole entire tank, and then this is like on the side, very side of the tank. And I want this branch kind of like that, basically like a branch of a tree kind of, coming towards the front of the enclosure so that I can see her if she climbs on it. This branch is obviously like way too big. I think I'm gonna cut it in half and then put one piece here under, like right there. And I'll put the other piece either like that or like drill it from underneath like that. I'm trying to make a tree in a 140-gallon enclosure. It's not gonna be a real tree, but you know what I mean. Also, part of the reasoning behind doing this is that in the wild, from the research I've done on ball pythons, in the wild they live in like old burrows or termite mounds, holes in the ground basically, where it's very humid and they can escape the sun and lay their eggs and hide basically from predators. But in Africa, it does rain a lot, especially in the rainy season in the summertime. And so these burrows and termite mounds will flood. And from the research I've done, people have seen ball pythons in the trees and stuff, and they say that they see them in the trees when it's raining a lot. So I wanted to give, whoa, windy, jeez. Wait for that to calm down. Basically, I wanted to give her climbing access so that she can climb, because it, one, will mimic what she would have in the natural environment, but also I see my ball python climb a lot. There are times where she's very inactive, but there's also times where she's very, very active. So I want to give her that enrichment and opportunity to climb if she wishes. Also, half of it's for me. I think it's cool to do this and put them in there. So, you know, it's not all just for the snake. Okay, everything's in now. Got 1, 2, 3, 4 branches one of the branches cut in half, all the screws in, and it's very stable now. Actually, nothing really moves except for this, but it's wedged, so we're kind of good with that. I'm gonna go see if it fits in the tank now. So hopefully it does, because otherwise I did this for nothing. All right, it fits pretty good. The only thing is that it's really pushing up against the side, the PVC on the side over there. So I think I'm gonna add one more branch in the back to support the entire structure. So not gonna record this part, just gonna go at it and come back. Okay, so now the hardscape is all done. As far as the branches go, I ended up cutting off a little bit of the side over here and then putting in this branch in the back to be supporting the structure right in the middle. When I put in the dirt and everything like that, it's gonna sit really nicely. This branch goes right up to the glass, so if she happens to climb on these branches, I'll see her very nicely. And that was the goal. So this went pretty good. Just had to make some minor adjustments.
Okay, so I've been inside all day. I kind of felt like coming outside for a little bit and filming this, so here we are. I wanted to just talk about the build overall, some of the negatives, like the downsides, and then some of the positives that come with this. Overall, I did really enjoy doing this project just because it's a fun project to do. Go out, collect some wood, come back, and just build your own hardscape and your own climbing structure for your reptile. That's pretty cool. But there are some things that I think everybody needs to consider when getting into a project like this. So took some notes. I'm gonna go through those things right now. I'll start with the negatives, the downsides, and then we'll get into the stuff that I think's good about this project. Okay, that leaf was in the way, or like it was smacking me in the face, so I decided to move over. This project takes a long time. Like, first off, you have to go, I mean, it doesn't take forever. You could do this in a day, but it does take a good amount of time compared to just going to the store and buying something to put in your reptile's enclosure. I had to go out, I had to first find an area that there were branches and stuff, and then collect all the different branches, put them in my car, bring them back, clean off all the branches, well, cut them up and then clean them off. There's all the time investment of trying to configure it in the way that I want, cutting everything up and then just screwing it together. It took like the better part of a day for me to do all of this just because I was trying to problem solve how to do it. Granted, if you know what you're doing, like you've done it before, then it's just gonna get easier as you do it more times. This was my first time doing it, so it kind of took a minute. So yeah, it kind of takes a while to do this, especially when you compare it to just going in stores and buying something. Also, the tools and supplies do cost a lot of money, so if you don't have access to power tools like I did, like I was using a grinder and a saw, like a stationary saw, I don't really know what they're called, and like drills and a bunch of drill bits and things like that. So there's like 3 power tools there and then some accessories for those power tools. Not even mentioning like the extension cords and batteries and buying the screws, the hardware. It's like, it's simple stuff that we're doing, but it still requires some kind of complicated equipment that not everybody has. So if you don't have the money to just go buy some power tools, or you don't have access to power tools, then maybe this isn't the route for you, because it's going to cost way more money to go and buy all these tools than it is to just go buy a $60 branch at a store or something like that. So that is definitely something to consider. But if you're invested in this type of thing and you want to do more projects down the line, just in general in your life, or you're going to need the tools in your life for whatever, then maybe it's worth doing. Because like you could hypothetically start with one small project, get a tool that you need, and then get more and more tools as you go on throughout your life, doing more and more reptile projects, maybe building enclosures later on the line, like later down the line. So that's something to consider for sure. I talked about this a little bit, having to actually go find the wood, the hardscape. So maybe you live in like an urban area where it's more difficult to go out and just find sticks. um, so that is definitely something to consider as well. I don't think this is as much of a con as as the other two things that I mentioned, because it is kind of easy to just go around and find wood somewhere. But just depending on your situation, you might need to travel a little bit further or something. So consider that. And then all wood is not made equal. So basically what I'm getting at here is that the wood that I got is probably going to rot away, degrade, or it could develop moss or something like that, or a bunch of bacteria on it. Like, there's a reason that people sell the wood that we do from in stores, and that don't just go out and collect wood. So there are things to think about with that. Obviously, I'm trying to not have that happen. Like, I disinfected it, cleaned it off well, and it's in an enclosure where hopefully it's not too wet and humid where it's just going to fall apart in a day. But over many, many years, the wood may or may not degrade. I really don't know because I've never done this before, but they seem like big branches that are going to last a long time. So yeah, that's just something to consider, is that when you're getting wood from the store or online or something like that, it's probably more reliable than something that you're going to go find outside. But once again, I'm new to this, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this wood's going to be completely fine and last decades upon decades, even past when I die. Okay, so now getting into the reasons that I actually decided to do this. First one is being that the wood is free. You can just go into the wilderness and buy the wood. Sorry. Go into the wilderness and buy the wood from the trees. Yeah, no. You don't have to buy the wood. You just go out there, collect whatever you want, and come back with the wood. Obviously, don't go out there and take all the freaking wood from the forest and load up a truck full of wood. But just kind of take what you think you're going to need, and then you can just put that together and it's free. So that beats going and buying a $60 branch that maybe won't even be big enough for your enclosure. So then you have to buy 2 branches, so now that's $120. Or ordering something that's $50 and then you realize it's not too big, or sorry, it is too big for your enclosure, and so you're like, oh, now I gotta return this and blah 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 blah. You're not spending money. That was the biggest thing about this. You're not spending money on branches, because I went to many stores and looked online and just wood was expensive. Another thing is you can actually customize what you want to do. So online and in stores, you just have to pick something that you like, and this can actually be really good. There's a lot of good stuff out there that I think is really cool. But with this process, you can just design something however you want to design it. So I had an image in my mind, and from the collection of branches that I had, there were a few branches that fit that image, and so that's what I did. So you just kind of have a little bit more control over what you're doing. And this kind of leads into not being able to find what you want in stores. The main thing here is size, because when I was looking at like my local reptile store, I would find really nice branches. They're really cool, but maybe the branches on it were a little too thin for my reptile, or maybe it was just one big, long, thick branch that I would have had to buy like 3 or 4 for my enclosure. Or maybe the stuff that I was seeing online was just too small or something like that. So yeah, just not being able to find what you want can be a problem, and doing this allows you to get exactly what you want. So originally I decided to do this. The big thing was the money. I didn't want to spend the money on more branches because I was already spending tons of money on my reptiles for enclosures and lighting and heating and things like that. This is just one area I thought I could save a little bit, and I think it was definitely worth it in my scenario, because the only reason is because I do have access to the power tools and drills and drill bits and things like that I can just use to make this stuff. So this project was essentially free. I didn't have to go buy anything, and I just had to invest some time. And it was a cool project. Like, I like doing projects like this. But if you're somebody that doesn't want to mess around with power tools, or doesn't have power tools, or just doesn't want to do the time investment for this type of thing, then I would just say go ahead, save up some money, and just buy whatever hardscape you need. I still have to buy Hardscape because I can't get like cork bark and things like that, so I had to buy that for my gecko. But for this project, I was like, okay, I'll just go out and collect some branches, and then it worked out. I would definitely recommend this project if it meets kind of the quota that I was saying about, you know, the tools and things like that. Thank you for following along with this project, and thank you for sticking around this far into the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the build and hopefully learned a little bit about this project, and hopefully this helps you decide whether or not this is a project that you want to take on, or if you just want to go buy some hardscape in stores. For me, it was definitely worth it to just build my own stuff, and I probably will do more projects like this in the future because of how this one went. I couldn't be happier with how it went. So with that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.